Hi guys, it's Kelly Ledivola here, and I am back with another video. Today's video is actually part of Altenu's 6th birthday celebration. We are going to be using the pen sketched flowers, stamps and dies, the crystal frames, stamps and dies, and then the pinstripe stamp as well, which is one of my favorites. It's just like such a classic pattern. Like, it's super versatile and I love it. So my idea was that I wanted to do a black and white card with a pop of color, and then I was trying to find a way to make it like a little bit extra, just a little bit, and I thought that I would add some metallic accents into it. Metallics or glitters, can be a little bit challenging, because if you add too much, it can look too busy, especially if you have other patterns. But so if you just add a little bit here and there, it can really bring your card design together. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Here, the jet black ink from Altenu, I only have a mini cube, but you can still ink up large backgrounds. I like to kind of swipe mine over the surface before I go in with all of my padding. That seems to work better for me. You also, with these large backgrounds, want to check for air bubbles. You probably saw me do that where I was pushing down on it and then I just lifted the corner to let the air out. This is my first stamping. Most of it looks pretty good, but I do have a couple of areas that were a little bit splotchy. I'm just going to go over it with the ink pad and then stamp it again. This is the joy of the Misty. You'll stamp it exactly the same spot. I also had to get up off my tushy because I was being kind of a lazy stamper and not giving it the good Sherry Carroll CPR method. So now I'm going to stamp two different the flower bundles from the Pen Sketch Flowers, and then a extra little leaf branch here. Then we're going to get into the coloring. Now I'm going to be honest with you, because I have so many things going on inside my head right now. Not really in like life in general, just going to work and coming home, but because my brain will not turn off, I didn't even think about looking for my artist markers, and I should have, but I didn't. So my Copics were what was on my desk. That is what I used. If you wanted to use your artist markers, because that's what you have, the closest combination that you'll find to this is it's called the Red Cosmos set if you buy it by itself. It's also in set A for the Altenu markers. So there's that. You know what? Let's talk about some things. Let's just talk about in general the state of what is going on here. So for the coloring, I am going to color this whole large branch here. You're going to see that I add shading anywhere where two objects meet. I also add shading where one object lays on top of another. You'll notice that I have a 5 color combination here instead of 4. That R69, which is my darkest color, I'm only going to put where I want it to be truly the darkest. So that will not go all over the flower. I'm going to work from lightest out to my darkest, darkest back out to my lightest. And I'm going to use a very, very light hand, not a lot of pressure, and just very light flicking motion. So back to, here's what made me think of it. I know that that it can be difficult when you know something or when you see something not to say something, and I fall victim to that as well. So when you are watching my videos and I say a lot, the reason that I say a lot is because this is unscripted and it's just me sitting down and having a very open, genuine conversation with you. Does that mean that the trade-off for having a real connection and a genuine interest in connecting with you guys, that you have to suffer through some more ums? Yes, it does. If that does not seem worth the sacrifice to you, change the channel. Change the channel. I will tell you one thing that this pandemic has given me, and that is there are certain things that don't matter anymore. Okay, they don't. That there are certain things that matter so much more than they did before, and I just don't have the patience for it. I don't have the patience for it. And so I am being kind and gracious and loving to as many people as I can. But in return, please also with you guys be as kind and gracious as loving as you can. If you see somebody who is doing something or is saying something and the difference is, in a detail or two, don't correct them. Don't, if it doesn't matter at the end of the day, if the heart of the information is accurate, don't correct them. Let it go. Let it go. And I'm trying to do that. There's a lot of misinformation that's going around with this pandemic. Those things, for sure, I will say something if I see them like on Facebook or, Instagram or things like that, because a lot of it is not accurate information. And right now, accurate information is going to help keep people alive. But if it's just something where, hey, post the 15th picture in your, picture roll to make me happy, and somebody posts a picture that's like, Pinterest worthy, their 6 kids all in matching chef hats, wearing matching pajamas with sunlight streaming in, and you're like, that is 0% chance that's her 6th picture. Don't say anything. It doesn't matter. There's no reason. Make your comment, such a cute photo, and move on with your life. There's enough negativity and scary things out there in the world right now. So, speaking of happy things, this I did tell you was part of the Altenew blog hop, and they are doing wonderful things. I will, if you're watching on YouTube, I will link below to their video, to their response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and they are doing such wonderful things. They are making donations. They are, trying to be supportive. They are based out of New York, which, as you know, right now they are really in the middle of it. So they're doing what they can to support those things. And in turn, it would be wonderful if we could support them. But they are doing a ton of giveaways. They said that they had considered canceling the birthday celebration, but they really thought that people could use something to look forward to, and I couldn't agree more. So Roxanne, who was one of my YouTube followers, had made a comment on my last video where we were making rainbows about how where she is actually just another place in Ohio, another city in Ohio, that they are encouraging people to put rainbows in their windows, so that everybody could search for, like when they were out walking, they could look for the signs of hope. And I thought that this was absolutely brilliant. I totally loved it. So we modified it just a little bit, Peanut and I. We made... we went on Google Maps and we counted all of the houses, on our street. So that was our math lesson for the day. And then, we sat down and stamped and colored 50 rainbows, which actually gave us, a couple of extra. And then I typed up a little something to put on the back of it, to let our neighbors know what we would like them to do with them. And then also if they need something, if they are in need, if they're immunocompromised, if they're higher risk, if they're just lonely, need a pen pal, need a telephone call, whatever it is that we can do, to help them. So what we want people to do is, if they want to make their own rainbows, that'd be phenomenal. But we wanted to supply each of them with a rainbow. We figured it would be easier that way in case people didn't have the means to make one, or a lot of people, a lot of times, sometimes if you give people something, they're more likely to participate because it takes no effort from them. So pretty much what we're asking them to do is to please just put it in their window, so that way all of us, when we are walking, can look for the signs of hope and count them up. We will try to move ours once a day or every other day, to make it just a little bit more challenging. But that's not, necessary. So that's something that we're doing to try to just kind of unite our, community. I know that there have been several people. I have a, friend who's a respiratory therapist in West Virginia. And, so I had asked her how they're very rural, very, And I had asked her how things were going down there, how they were on PPE, and she said that they are extremely short, that the N95 masks have been gone for weeks, and that their hospital is asking for people to make homemade masks. Now, I've seen a lot of negativity about the homemade masks, that it's not going to protect people from, the coronavirus, that it's going to give people a false sense of security, that people are going to start going outside of their houses more, and everybody has their different opinions. What they're looking for them for, and what most hospitals are looking for them for, is either a covering for the N95, which is the mask that they are normally issued to help them last longer, or as masks that can be used in other parts of the hospital where they are not treating COVID-19 patients. So there have been several people saying, that they're useless or whatever. They aren't, especially not when you're in a position where you're going to work every day and you have nothing. I am extremely, extremely proud of my state government. My governor is doing a bang up job on the front lines, and I didn't even vote for him, y'all. Seriously, I will next time. Amen. Yes, I will. But it is shameful. It is so shameful how ill prepared our healthcare workers are, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault. They on Netflix, which you do what you want to do, whether or not you want to watch it or not. There's it's called Pandemic, and it talks about how, just as a country, as a world, we're not prepared for the next pandemic, which they predicted would be coming. Now here we are, and there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding about what flattening the curve will do. People will still get sick. And that's the reality of it. The goal is to avoid everybody getting sick at the same time. That's the goal. And because people will still have heart attacks and car accidents and strokes. And so if you have the regular amount of patients that the hospitals normally have, plus all of these people who are coming down with the coronavirus, you completely overwhelm our healthcare system, and then nobody is getting the kind of care that they need, and you have more people dying. So by staying at home and putting everybody else in a position where, they are healthy longer, where we're extending out that curve of when people get sick, we have a better chance of saving people's lives. So if you are doing your part and you are staying home and you are not taking your whole family to Walmart and you are not taking your home family to Home Depot, thank you. You are a superhero, and I'm extremely grateful for you. If you are doing those things, please stop. Please stop immediately. You're putting other people at risk. You're putting your family at risk. This is something to be taken seriously. And if after all of this is said and done, there's not that many deaths, then great. We did our part. We did exactly what we were supposed to do. Because coming from someone whose parents have had heart attacks, whose parents are diabetic, who have COPD, I need that care to be available for my mom and dad. I need that to be available. And if that means that I have to stay in my house for the next 18 months, I don't care. Does that mean that I have to give up everything that I own and all of the pennies in my bank account? Worth it. No second thoughts there. None at all. So, maybe that might not be your family. And I do understand the people who are out of work right now and who cannot pay their bills. I know in Ohio that there are a lot of things that they are doing. They changed the unemployment rates. They have, made them more available to people. So if you are a person who is in need, there are, food pantries. There are the stimulus checks that are coming. There are landlords that are, foregoing the eviction process. There's a lot of things that are positives that people are really coming together And if there's anything that you need, like, please share that need, because there may be one of us who can fill it and who want to help each other. So yeah, so that's that. Back to the card. So here basically I, cut, I die cut all my pieces. I did do, the gold dots. Now those are part of the pinstripe background. And I basically used them to act as sequins in the background. And I did them in the gold. I also used the frame, one of the crystal frames. There's a bunch of them in there and they're all super pretty. I used one of the crystal frames and I cut that out of gold glitter paper to kind of tie the whole thing together. I wanted the sentiment to be bold enough to read, but still tie into, the whole overall feel of the card, that it was this layered kind of collage style. And so I heat embossed it in white, and then I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out with a circle die so that it fits inside the crystal frame that I have. If you don't have this pinstripe background set, like with these, polka dots, and you do have smaller dot stamps, you could create the same look. Or if you have, gold sequins, again, you could create the similar look. This just makes it a whole lot easier. So here's that glitter frame that I was telling you about, just trying to get everything lined up. I really loved the way that everything looked together, but that bottom left-hand corner looked a little empty. So after messing around with it, this is what I do with every card, guys. Like, it doesn't always come, like the layout doesn't always come together super easy. So if you struggle with that as well, don't worry, we're all on the same page. I don't like this top flower. Just was not a fan of the way that it was hanging out, and I needed something in the bottom left. So I opted to just trim it out. Because my background is mostly white, you won't even notice that the white part of it is missing on this flower up top. And this part, the smaller bud will be tucked up underneath the circle, so I don't even have to worry about that. So this, to me, provides a little bit more balance for the design altogether. And now we're going to start really putting everything together. Lots of foam, because when you're doing a clean and layer card, if you're going to put layers on there, I feel like they should all be at different levels. That's probably not a rule. That's probably just a Kelly thing, but it's my channel and here we are. So here I'm going to put all this foam tape on the back of my flowers. And when I set it down on top of my card panel, I'm not going to push it down. Like, I'm not going to firmly adhere it, because I need to slide these other little flowers behind it. So here I'm just going to glue these down flat, so that way, again, there's, the differentiation in levels, but I didn't know where to glue them without my other piece in place. So I'm just going to slide them behind there with some glue. And then once I'm happy with where those are, then I'm going to adhere everything, including the long branch. These ones, I'm going to do kind of a half and half. I'm going to put foam tape on the leaves and on the bud, but the stems, I'm just going to put glue on and kind of slide them behind the circle. You're not going to see them anyway. And I didn't want them to raise I didn't want 3 levels of foam tape. And you're going to be like, why would you have 3 levels of foam tape? Hang with me, okay? It's a trust exercise, because here in a minute, you're going to see why I would have 3. So I'm just going to lay these here for placement purposes so that I know where to put my leaves and my bud. And then just slide those underneath there. Same thing with the bud. So there are tons of giveaways in this wonderful celebration. And I would encourage you to go check out the blog hop. It starts on the Altenew card blog, but then also there'll be a link below in my YouTube channel for you to go over there and check out the full blog and how to win. There's something like 37 prizes, which is amazing. So here the circle will actually be popped up on 2 layers of foam so that it sticks up even above the flower branch. So I'm putting one of them in the center there, and then I'm going to put another one on top. I originally thought that would be enough to stabilize my circle, but it's not. So I needed to put another one, which would sit on top of the actual flower branch. And then I decided my sentiments should be straight because that's important, you know. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just add a little bit of glitter to the flowers with my clear glitter pen, which is actually running out. I need to get a new one because I super love them. But that's it. That's the whole card. So I hope you head over and check out the blog hop. I hope that you guys are doing well. I am praying for your health, and I will catch you in the next video.